Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your hostess for today's show is Mary Ann Faremouth. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, a division of Authors Marketing International, an organization that supports authors and writers all over the world. My name is Mary Ann Faremouth. I'm a multi-genre author, speaker, and career coach. And today I am just delighted to have a guest on our show that has made my author journey so successful. Mark Gelotte is a book designer, illustrator. He's originally from the Houston area. He lives in the lovely Sedona area now. And he was recommended to me by a writing coach I had worked with, and actually got to meet Mark. I attended a seminar in Sedona and actually got to meet him. And I had interviewed several book designers, illustrators before I decided to work with Mark. And it just made such a difference. My books have won so many awards. And I truly believe it's because Mark is so good at what he does. But more than that, he really takes the time to get to know the author, what's important to them, what their book's about, how to best present that cover in a way that's really going to be beneficial to the author. So after that incredibly long introduction, help me welcome Mark Gelotte. Mark, say hello to everybody.
Well, thank you for that, Mary Ann, and hello, everybody who's tuning in. I think you gave me a very warm welcome with that little talk there, and I appreciate me being here and you having me to maybe shed a little light on what it is to design covers and have a book that sells because the cover looks so good and things like that. So I really appreciate being here at this time, and I miss Houston, by the way. There's those times. I'm in Arizona, but yeah, I still miss it.
Oh, when you look at those red rocks, though, and feel that sedate environment around you, I mean, it's pretty nice over there where you are. Anyway, Mark, tell us a little bit about how you got started as a book designer. I know, you've done it for a long time, but tell us how you kind of got into this field.
Well, Mariana, it started out a long time ago because I always knew that I wanted to be in art, as a kid. It was just, it was kind of a passion of mine. And what I realized at a certain point, art wasn't just painting and drawing and all that. There was a whole other side to it, which was the commercial side. And so as I got older, and I'm even talking going into teenage years, I wanted to know more about this graphic design as opposed to just artwork. And thankfully, I had a great high school art teacher who really promoted being able to design covers for menus or for handouts at the football games or things like that. And so it developed as I went on to really understanding that graphic design and graphic arts was an actual thing, not that was separate from fine arts, but that it was something that heavily impacted people. So the cover designs really came out of that. I mean, I was a regular graphic designer for many, many years, had a great studio in Houston in the later years. Had did that for about 5 years, I guess, before I actually left. And from that, books started coming more and more. And even though I had one or two before that, it was the books themselves that started coming from just regular authors, regular people who were wanting to say, can you design this for me? Can you do something special with this? That I started really getting into it at that point. It was then became realizing that so many, particularly with people in general who weren't picked up by a big publisher or weren't picked up by a big company to print and put out their materials, they still wanted to have a book that they could put out and be very proud of. So that evolved into doing more and more of design with book covers that challenge the view of a person looking at it. They go, wow, that looks very professional. It wasn't just hand done by their aunt or uncle or whoever. It was really making a statement that this was a professionally done book, therefore this is worth reading, and therefore this is what gives the writer a boost up, in the sales and circulation, and even in places where they're honored by their book. And we of course can talk about that later, but some of the awards that come for people who do self-publish and actually do very, very well. And of course, I'm looking at you too for that one.
Well, I love it that you have one of my books back there. But the other thing that's so neat about what you do, Mark, is that you have the ability to design covers for so many different genres. I know I just saw something on social media, and I mentioned it to you the other day in the Blue Room, that it was this angel, and she looked like she was in flight, and it was just amazing. So, my books, my first two books were nonfiction, prescriptive nonfiction, but you design covers for all different kind of genres, don't you? Can you tell us about that? I mean, that's kind of a skill to be able to, if somebody wants something for sci-fi, or somebody wants something for self-help, or somebody wants something for prescriptive nonfiction. I mean, that's kind of an ability, I think, to be able to, cross-reference your skills in all those areas, right?
That's a very good question. Very good question, because it does. It is a challenge in a way, because when I first was doing it, it was more mainline. It was things related to business, that kind of thing. And as I developed and people became more interested, particularly even in the self-help genre, and that would be people that were, working with relationships, working with divorce, working with couples and that kind of thing, and then as well as the more spiritual side of people wanting to have books that were enlightening people, and helping them. And I'm thinking like, well, okay, now how am I going to really do all this? But what I found was that it's just tapping into a reservoir of one's own imagination, really, and then being able to also go and look at and read what it is that the author has been writing about. And so moving into these other genres has been, number one, very exciting. I mean, it's really like walking into a brand new store. And what am I going to find here off the shelves or off the rack or whatever? And so by taking these different genres that were starting to come in, I built on that. And so I might have something that had to, and this is a real story too, where I'm working with a man who's working with a novel about World War II and all the violence and all that's going on, and he wanted a cover that was dynamic to bring that out. And so, okay, I can do that. And then, an hour later, after having done that, I work with someone else who wants to show the beauty of spirituality, or of something metaphysical, or something like that, with angels, or with some kind of appearance of upliftment and enlightenment. And so I'm saying these both as if they're two opposites, but in some ways they're not. In some ways, both authors have put their heart and soul into it. And so what's happening is that I'm getting the best of each. And in each one, still following the same steps of bringing it up, but my technique changes, my way of choosing colors, of choosing fonts, of choosing any kind of titles, that kind of thing, is specific for just that. Is for that person that needs that wants that to look beautiful and capture their audience, not the audience of somebody else or whatever.
No, I think that's exactly right. And we laugh about this all the time, Mark, but before I came to you, I went to another book designer, and he just said, this is the cover that you need. And I didn't like it. I did not like it. And I showed it to you. And I said, Mark, this doesn't represent what this book's about. We got about a minute to go. Sure. And so the thing with Mark that was so nice is he didn't say, okay, I'll give you 3 designs and that's it. I mean, he must have done 5, 6, 7 designs. I'm pretty particular. I'm not, I'm kind of high maintenance. Anyway, not high maintenance, but I have a high desire of what I want, perfection. And Mark was really, interested in pleasing and doing what I wanted. And I think that's a gift. Another gift that you can offer somebody is that you really take the time to get to know the author. I mean, you might, after I hung up the phone, you might say that woman is crazy, but you were so nice to listen to me. I mean,
Yeah.
are you always like that with everybody?
Absolutely. I mean, there's different types of personalities, of course, with so many different authors and all that. But almost everyone, particularly in the self-publishing genre, is very excited and willing to just open up and say, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I hope for, this is what it is, because they have in some ways a bigger step to make than somebody who's already in a publishing house, who has gone there and the publishers are going to take care of it and tell them what to say and what not to say. So as individuals, I think people, they know they want the best and they know that they want to be successful. And so my constant thinking is, how do I express that part of themselves on this cover so that it is not only something that they feel happy and love, but it's making money. It's actually selling. It's going for their joy of receiving, more and more popular acclaim and more book sales and all that at the same time as they're seeing their book being put out there.
Okay, great. Well, let's hold that thought. Let's let our sponsors do their thing. We'll come right back.
That sounds great.
Welcome to B4R.store, a bookstore for indie readers and indie authors, where indie authors can earn their fair share from the books you purchase. We have a wide variety of genres that you can select from. We also have ebooks and paperbacks. You can select authors by their first names, and we also have music. If you're interested in their city or country, we have that listed as well. If you are an author and would like to be on our bookstore, we have 3 options for you. There is a small minimal charge, or you can join our organization at authorsmarketing.org and learn how to better market and sell yourself. That is B4R.store, a bookstore for indie readers and indie authors. Hi, this is Beyond Bourgeois. I am the founder and director of the B4R bookstore. We are in our warehouse, and as you can see behind me are some of the books that we have for the short story contest that we run annually. It begins March 1st and runs through July 31st. Of course, if you win, you get copies of the books you're published in, the anthologies, and they go out to libraries and schools. So a great way to discover new readers. Check it out, b4r.store, and good luck.
Hi, I'm Charles Brakefield.
And I'm Rox Berkey.
Together, we write as Brakefield and Berkey.
Our techno thriller series is 12 books strong, with book 13, The Enigma Tracer, planned for 2022.
Techno thrillers are the cyber good guys versus today's darknet thugs.
We added our series prelude, Out of Poland, a 1939 historical novella, in 2021.
We also have 8 short stories available in family and women's contemporary genres, with more planned for 2022.
Please visit our website, enigmaseries.com, to learn more about why we say technology is today's weapon of choice. Thank you.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your hostess for today's show is Mary Ann Faremouth. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Welcome back to the Indie Beacon Show, a division of Authors Marketing International, organization that supports writers and authors all over the world. We're back with the amazing Mark Gelotte, a book designer, illustrator, cover designer that I just have hold in such high regard, because he is, as I said earlier on, made my author journey so very successful. And Mark, we had a talk in the Blue Room a little while ago about how during these times with the pandemic and all, you have become so busy. So do you think that book production, because of what's happened, has really increased? People are wanting to write their story or stories more now? Why do you think that's the case?
Absolutely. I was a little concerned when the first wave of COVID came through and what was going to be happening, because my normal portals of which I would get authors or people wanting to write their own book, I thought would be closed. I thought it would all wrap up in like so many people have seen with their businesses that they just couldn't make it. But in fact, it was a complete opposite. And what was happening was the people were going inside. They couldn't go out. They couldn't, literally being inside and, squared away from everything that they knew. They went inside themselves and started bringing out, well, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to write, whatever it may be. And so this could be the same creativity that artists do or whatever. But in this particular case, I started getting more calls for people saying, I'm writing a book. I have all this time. How can I work with this during these times? Essentially what they were saying. And as it went on, it's been a huge amount of authors now writing. And so this is probably during all the stages of COVID, this has probably been the most busiest time I've ever had. And that includes, out before that happened. It's quite amazing, actually.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that's so great about you, Mark, is that, you do so many other things. I mean, you can design a logo. You can, I know I asked you one time to do a one-page marketing media kit for me. And it was so well done and helped me get so much more new business.
Thank you.
I also think too, with the publishing business, the publishing industry changing so much, I think being an indie author, which means independent author, self-published author, has also changed. I mean, do you think going forward, this area is even going to get bigger?
Oh, I think so. Now it will. Yeah, now it will. If you had asked me before COVID, I would say no. I wouldn't have given it that much, oomph to it. I would say that people do in their own time, come up with something creative or something inspiring that they wanted to do. But during these times, it was tenfold. So people have that in them now, and I think even as the pandemic slows down or finally heals itself completely, I think we're going to find more of that creativity, because now things are open, being expressed even more. It's like they've gone through and learned through them being with themselves or only with their families, whatever it is, that there is a much broader base out there that is looking to do or looking for more creativity, more reading, more information, that kind of thing. We'll wait and see. We'll see what happens, but that's my feeling on it.
Well, I think going forward, Mark, I mean, your predictions, I think they seem pretty much on target from the different writing communities I'm a member of. That's what I'm hearing, is that, it's only going to get bigger. And I also think that writing is a way also of being, getting more in touch with who you are and who you want to become, but also, helping others. I mean, writing your story and what you've gone through sometimes can take somebody by the hand and let them read your story and help them with theirs, perhaps. So I think there's a multi-dimensional effect, benefit in reading a book. But again, the cover has to catch your eye.
Yeah.
You can have the greatest content in the world, but if the cover is not done right, nobody's going to pick it up. And so I think Mark has that ability, and he's so bright, he's so multidimensional, but he really takes the time to work with the author. And going forward, Mark, I know you have a real expansive website. You have all different kinds of your projects and books on there, but going forward, do you have anything on the docket that you're really going to do in an expansive way? Anything new, or that you could talk to us about that's expanding on what you've already done?
Well, this is kind of interesting. Since I'm in Arizona, I'm not in Phoenix itself, but Phoenix has a large Chinese population. It's kind of like San Francisco or whatever that have been moved there. And so what they've asked me to do is to do a book that shows the Chinese history within Phoenix, particularly, but basically Arizona. And so what happened was that I was brought down there, and they liked the work that I've done by that. But this was a very different program than working with individual authors. This is working with a whole group or committee of people who wanted to express their heritage. And so so I even have it. I think you can see here, this is the first rough of it.
Wow.
But can I get that in there? I think so. There we get up a little bit higher. But anyway, you can see, and this is not the final publication. This is just a proof from the printer that we've got it, but it's completely full of images from the historic part of the Chinese here in Arizona, and particularly, like I said, Phoenix. So this is one of those books that came out of this time that was kind of surprising to me, because it was not the usual books that I would normally do. This was something that came to me, and I took it and ran with it. And so we're still in the middle of it right now, but this is an example of what I'm doing right now.
Well, I think that's so exciting. And I think it probably came to you because of your talent and, your reputation and all the different kinds of books that you've produced. So that's wonderful. So the other thing that I think is great is that, as a new writer, I remember myself, I was, a little bit uneasy, and I don't know if I can do this. And I don't know. I kept telling my writing coach, doesn't have enough meat to it. So the one thing about Mark that's so great is that he kind of encourages you. He kind of says, I think you could, this has got some good information. I think we could present it on the cover like this or like that. And did you learn that in school? That's just who you are. I mean, how did you get to, like my second book was about transferring skills, and we had a similar cover, but we had more in line with today's marketplace. And is that something that you learn in school, or just how did you come to that?
I think, I don't know. I think that, Mary Ann, what you were doing, I was so well versed on what you do and what I learned from the first book, because while we're talking about covers, I'm also do the insides, do the chapters, set them up and all that. So while I was doing that, I started reading it, I started reading what you were doing, and I'm going, wow, this is terrific, and your approach in your book was such that it made me rethink. Partially was the design, but particularly on the second book, the workbook on recruiting, that I thought these needs illustrations, of the people, maybe silhouettes of them or whatever. And so it was taking what you had already done in the way that you write and freshening it up, so to speak, to give it some life and give it some interest. And particularly for people in the place of during these times in which you were writing about it, how can they go and fulfill their needs for occupation or, whatever it is that works. Let's lighten it up a little bit, so let's have those images, and let's spread in. As you well know, we spread out the copy away to give more of a breathing room, and also kind of fill out the book. And I think that's what it is. Whatever the problem is, or wherever the issue is, or whatever the ideal is we find that, and then that's where the design goes. That's where the building of the book goes.
Okay, great. All right, let's hold that thought. Let's let our sponsors do their thing. We'll come right back.
Great.
Each and every one of us has a mission in life. Mine is to help people laugh through the good times and the bad. My name is Charlotte Canyon, and I am an author, a speaker, and a host on Indie Beacon Radio. If you need me to speak at an event or autograph my book, you can contact me at charlotte@charlottecanyon.com. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Authors Marketing International, a membership-based organization where members learn how to better market and sell themselves. Join us at authorsmarketing.org.
Mary Ann Faremouth is a career consultant with 30 years' experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at Faremouth.com.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your hostess for today's show is Mary Ann Faremouth. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Welcome back to the Indie Beacon Show, a division of Authors Marketing International, an organization that supports authors all over the world. My name is Mary Ann Faremouth. I'm a multi-genre author, career coach, speaker, and recruiter. And we're visiting with the amazing, multi-talented Mark Gelotte that I've had the great success working with. And he was just talking about some really cool projects that he's been actually asked to work on, some big kind of heritage type book projects that sounded so cool. But you know, Mark, you've done so many things, and I know you've got a few of your books in the background there, but you have so many wonderful genres that you've designed for. If somebody wanted to go to your website to see all the great books while we're talking now that you've done, where would they go?
Well, it's pretty easy. It's my name.com. So it would be Mark Gelotte as all one word. And since people have trouble spelling my last name Gelotte, it's Gelotte. So you're just putting Mark in front of that and that .com, and that will take to basically my website. It's a one-page website, but I have on there a ton of books that I've done. They aren't all of them, but they're some of the best ones, and they're in a variety of different topics. And you can just click on the thumbnail, it'll bring up the cover, you can look at it, you can just scroll through them. And there also is sort of a little banner that revolves along with the show further things that I have done. But I made it a very simple website so people could go there, look at ideas, maybe get ideas for their own book, or they already know what they want, then they can see, oh, he can handle this. And again, it's just a site that they can click on a cover, have it open up, look at it, and see what I do. Oh, and there's also a mail-in also. I just wanted to say there's a response form at the bottom. If anybody is wants to contact me directly, just click that form, fill it in, and it'll come right to my mailbox.
Okay. Well, also, I'll have all of this information on my website, faremouth.com. So if you're not able to remember Mark's website address, and I'll have it on my faremouth.com. And again, if you're looking for someone that can listen to you as a writer, as an author, to really understand what's important to you, what you want to project, that you've taken the time and hard work to project in your book on that cover, and lay it out in a way that's so well done, top-notch product. I mean, so well done. There's no one else that I could recommend more than Mark Gelotte. He's bright, he's talented. He's just so nice, okay? And he listens to you, and he wants to make the customer happy, but he's got a high standard, and he produces a flawless product. And also, if you need a logo, or if you need business cards, or if you need a one-pager, whatever you need to present who you are and what you do, you won't go wrong by talking to Mark Gelotte. So Mark, if there's a couple things you can end this with to tell a author, or maybe wannabe author out there, to inspire them to do it, what would you say? To go ahead and write and do their book. What would you tell them?
Oh, I would say particularly to a writer or to-be author who has had this idea in their mind all along, and if they keep procrastinating on it, or they say, oh, I'll get to it whenever, is just begin to write. And the thing that comes up the most I would say, is people who, once they get caught into the writing, it just flows out. It's just the flow of creativity, the flow of imagination, and the flow of whatever intelligence that they already have. And so the biggest thing that I hear from procrastinating authors that come to me say, oh, I want to have a cover, but I haven't even started writing my manuscript yet, is I said, just start writing. Just start going, and it'll come out. It's getting into that groove. It's getting into that magic. That's the way it is.
Yeah, well, you are definitely a proponent of magic. What you do is magical. You've made my life magical, and I've changed so much since I've become an author. So it's a journey that has many rewards. Okay. So anyway, this is Indie Beacon, Division of Authors Marketing International. We've been talking to Mark Gelotte. His website is markgelotte.com. Mm-hmm. And we're thrilled to have you on the show. Keep in mind all the wonderful programs and conferences and different things that we offer here at Indie Beacon Authors Marketing International. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Thank you for watching the Indie Beacon Show, produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International, LLC. Copyright 2022. Voiceover by B. Allen Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please contact us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on this show, it is free to authors. Simply fill out the form at indiebeacon.com. The music is provided by Happy Follows. The music is entitled